From this distance, the surface of our planet appears dominated by a single substance. Roughly 71% of the globe is covered in liquid water, the same material that makes up about 60% of the human body. But imagine what would happen if all of it, every ocean, river, and droplet of moisture, vanished in a single second. For a few brief moments, the world might feel eerily normal. The sun would continue to shine, the ground would remain solid, and the air still breathable. Yet despite this outward calm, the disappearance of water has set a massive countdown in motion. A devastating chain reaction has just begun, one that will rapidly dismantle every biological and geological system we rely on. Because water performs its planetary labor invisibly, its absence exposes the true fragility of our existence. As the oceans drain, thousands of meters of deep, barren sea trenches are violently exposed to the open air for the first time. For billions of marine animals, the loss of their habitat is immediately fatal. Without the physical medium they need to breathe and move, everything from whales to sharks perishes in minutes. The collapse then moves to the foundation of the marine food web. Complex ecosystems like coral reefs dry out and die almost instantly, ending millions of years of biological history. This map shows the planet's next crisis, a total thermal breakdown. Water acts as Earth's primary heat regulator, and without it, daytime land temperatures would rapidly spike to 70 degrees Celsius. At night, with no liquid to trap the day's warmth, temperatures would plummet well below freezing. Because there is no oceanic moisture left to evaporate, the global weather cycle comes to a permanent halt. Clouds vanish, and the mechanism for rainfall disappears. Most of the biosphere will never reach the stage of dying from thirst. They will be killed in these first few hours by violent thermal shock. For humanity, the disaster quickly moves into our cities. Within the first hour, every municipal water supply grid on Earth fails as the pipes run dry. The global power grid follows. Hydroelectric dams run dry instantly, cutting off the electricity supply for hundreds of millions of people. This is the inside of a nuclear reactor core. These facilities rely on a constant flow of water to safely cool their radioactive fuel rods. Without that cooling medium, these reactors will inevitably overheat. Within hours, uncontained thermal energy would lead to catastrophic meltdowns, releasing radiation into an environment where agriculture is already failing. Our infrastructure is just as biologically dependent on water as the human body. Without it, our engineering becomes a liability. 1 week later, the planet is a global dust bowl. Dehydrated forests across the globe rapidly ignite, creating massive, unstoppable wildfires that the now completely dry atmosphere can no longer extinguish. As the smoke clears, the topography of the deep ocean stands revealed. We would finally see the ancient volcanoes and massive ridges of the seafloor, though few would be left to witness them. In the dry basins of the former oceans, we find the remains of microscopic phytoplankton. These organisms function as the true lungs of the Earth. When they were alive, they generated roughly half of the oxygen in our atmosphere. Over the following months, the atmosphere itself begins to fail. Oxygen levels drop while carbon dioxide spikes, as there are no longer any oceans or organisms to absorb the gas. The removal of the oceans leads to the chemical starvation of the sky, eventually leaving the planet with air that can no longer support life. Eventually, the Earth settles into its final state, a dry, rusted sphere that closely resembles the desolate landscape of Mars. Even those who manage to access deep underground reserves would eventually perish as the atmosphere collapses and the temperature swings become too extreme for survival. The biological experiment of Earth would be over. Water acts as the master architect of this planet. It regulates the global climate, drives the growth of our food, and maintains the delicate balance of the air we breathe. The next time you hold a glass of water, remember what you're looking at. It is the most precious, fragile treasure in the known universe.